Let's do a little bit of refactoring to our code. Let's rename our class to, let's say, a user. Let's call it user. And let's change the x variable to username. And we also need to rename our property to username with capital U. And let's rename the y variable to password. Let's also rename them here. So this must become username. And this must become password. All right, this also needs to be password. All right, now let's go here. So let's delete all of that. And this is a user now. And let's change the data type here to string. So this is a string now, string, and this is also a string. Let's keep the password as an integer, and we're going to use only numbers for the password. Like I said in the previous video, we can perform data validation with the properties. Let's first quickly create a property for our password, and let's expand it. All right, return password equals value. Perfect. So how can we perform the validation? Let's say that we can assign a username only if the username length is between 4 and 10 characters. So we're going to say if value.length is more than 4 characters and value.length is less than 10 characters, we want to set the value to the username. This will be a valid username. If it's not, we want to say, oops, this is not a valid username. Please use an username with 4 to 10 characters. All right, perfect. Now, if we go back here, we're not going to give the usernames through the constructor. We're going to use the properties. If we say user.username equal to something that will be invalid, so let's say just AB, for example, let's run the code. And you can see that we get, oops, this is not a valid username. If we try to access the username and print it on the console, user.username, we're going to get nothing because we never got to this point and a value was not assigned to the username field. So when we return the username from the getter, there is nothing in the username. Let's give it a valid username now, ABCD. By the way, I just noticed that here it needs to be larger or equal to 4 and smaller or equal to 10. Because if it's not, a four character username will not work. This way it will work. And now we can get the username. We can even make it a bit more interesting here, and we can say return the username is just like that. And if you do it, the username is ABCD. We can do the same thing for the password. So let's minimize our username, and we can say password is valid only if, actually, I'm just going to copy it from here and I'm going to paste it. All right, just that we're no longer going to have the length because we only have numbers here. And now we also have a validation for the password. This is not a valid password. Please use a password between 4 and 10. So our password will simply be a number. We can perform the same operation for the password equals to 2, and we will get, oops, this is not a valid password. You get the idea. We can have a much more complex logic here if it's really needed. So this is one of the simplest ways to use properties to perform some kind of validation and to hide your fields.